A popular trend in schools worldwide lately has been school uniforms. Now, some hate them, some love them. Personally, I strongly dislike them. But before we get into the cons of school uniforms, let's get into the history. Now, school uniforms were put into place in the 16th century in England, and since then has spread worldwide. Now, school uniforms were designed to make clothing more conservative and appropriate for an education setting for young boys and girls. Now, school uniforms back in that day were mostly navy blue or black pants for boys, skirts for girls. They also had white button-down shirts and matching jackets or sweaters, and they also had to wear preferably white socks and black shoes. Now, since those times, school uniforms have changed. One thing being the color. Now, kids are allowed to wear white shirts, black shirts, blue shirts, yellow shirts, so on and so forth. You're also allowed to wear khaki pants. You can wear black or blue shoes. Also, white and black socks. Another thing that has changed is length. Now, back in those times, young ladies were basically forced to wear skirts below their knees. Now young ladies can wear skirts above their knees. And they also were not allowed to wear shorts, but now they can. And also diversity has changed. Like stated earlier, now girls are allowed to wear shorts and pants instead of just skirts all the time, as well as dresses too. Now that we have shared the history, let's get into the cons. One con is that it lowers self-image. A lot of young children, teens, and young adults nowadays suffer with self-esteem in this society. So by them wearing uniforms, it kind of lowers their self-esteem because, they don't feel as good as they usually do when they wear their regular clothes. They really can't express themselves the way that they choose to. Another con is that usually in the school setting, when children wear uniforms, teachers and staff members usually just put their main focus on the students' uniforms because it is enforced strictly by the Board of Education. Now, here's how that is a con. When students walk in the room, teachers have to look at a student to make sure the uniform is appropriate and in the right order. If it is not, let's say the student walks in with, buttons open on the shirt, saggy pants, they don't have a belt, they have the wrong color shoes, wrong color socks, they will have to call their parent or send them to the office, so on and so forth. And that just takes time from class. That takes time from their education, which is really not good. Another con is that that it is forced by the government, which parents really don't appreciate. They feel like they are very blessed to be able to give their children a free public education, but why are they being forced to wear uniforms? Why can't they dress their children the way they want to dress their children? Another con is that they have to pay extra for the clothes. Uniform clothes in no way, shape, or form are cheap. And most of the time you have to go out of your way to go buy regular uniform clothes. You can't just go to your regular store. You have to go out to a mall like JCPenney or Macy's or Sears. You can't just buy uniforms everywhere. And like I stated earlier, they're expensive. And you also have to go out of your way to find the correct black shoe as well. So that's just really, really time consuming and very difficult. And another con is that uniforms encourage violence in a way because, let's say, as stated earlier, since they're expensive, let's say a child really can't afford too many pairs of uniform clothes, so they might wear the same stuff maybe twice a week. Some children who are very cruel nowadays might pick on another student and say, "Oh, you wearing the same clothes? You must have any money. Your clothes must be dirty," which encourages violence and as well as bullying, which is really not needed in today's society or the school system. Now, just a few visual aids. I have one diagram here showing the school uniform yes or no rates in the United States. The light part is yes, and the dark part is no. To give you a close-up of it. In Central America, we have 137 votes for yes, 537 say no. In Northeast America, we have 217 that say yes, and 1,031 that say no. In the Northwest, we have 14 votes to say yes, and 9 votes to say no. In the Southeast, we have 49 votes to say yes, and 129 to say no. In the Southwest, we have 64 votes to say yes, and 400 to say no. And lastly, in the West, we have 79 votes to say yes, and 241 to say no. So, besides the Northwest, a large population of the United States agrees that children should not wear uniforms. Another visual aid, we have the percentage of United States schools requiring uniforms by year. So it goes all the way back to 1999 on this graph, just to give you all another close-up. In 1999 to 2000, we have 11.8. Now, to remind you, this is on a scale from 1 to 20. So this is over half already, half of the population in the United States that was requiring uniforms. So we have 11.8. In 1999 to 2000, we have 2003 to 2004, which has 13.8, and it stayed the same in 2005 and 2006 as well. But in 2007 and 2008, we have 17.5% of the United States. And lastly, in 2009 and 2010, which is very close to the time now, we have 18.9%. 18.9%. That is so close to 20. It is ridiculous how schools are requiring children to wear uniforms. And lastly, one more set of pros and cons. Now you might be wondering why I'm showing pros and cons. Well, pros with the cons, and the reason why is because, with every pro there's a con. They kind of back each other up, I guess you could say. So one pro is that it promotes personality over attire, yet one con is that it overshadows individuality, as stated earlier. Another one is that it encourages discipline, yet it amplifies inter-school rivalry. And lastly, it negates income disparity for a pro, yet it increases expenses. So, based on the facts that I have shown, I hope that you all agree that school uniforms should be banned in the school system. Thank you.